Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
Oh, no. Yes, it is. It's time for another episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your sometimes glamorous, sometimes rock star host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during global chaos. You know, being an immigrant and achieving the American dream, or Canadian dream, as we heard in our episode with John Vong, back episode, I think it was 107. You know, that's something that many people aspire for. Okay, I know there's a lot of things going on today, and you may be like, hey, the American dream of old doesn't exist, or, you know, whatever your complaints may be, doesn't matter, okay? There are still people globally, people in this country that still aspire for that dream, and today's guest is no exception. First though, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can join the channel for only $3 a month. You can become a baby shark. You get some perks, you get some free stuff, you know, things like that. You help the channel grow. Now, if giving money through big tech isn't your thing, don't worry, we got you covered. Head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. Use the code SHARK, okay? You will get 20% off of your order, and all the proceeds directly support us producing the biggest, the best, the most awesomest show we possibly can. So let's get back to today's show. We're going to hear the personal story of somebody who went through things that a lot of us can't even imagine, the situations that she has been in, the risks that she has had to face, and then even the hard choices that her family had to make. All is well, though. And it ended up with her creating an awesome business that at the end of the day helps small businesses grow via the promise of technology. You all know that's my favorite tagline. And I tell you what, today's guest does exactly that. Get ready for a joyride because this episode, it's hot. So who is today's guest? None other than Odeta Pine. Odeta Pine has built her career on the belief that data can be harnessed and analyzed to help us become more human, more compassionate, and more aware of the needs of our coworkers, clients, and communities. When we forge deeper connections to the people around us, we are rewarded many times over. She is the CEO of G7 Tech Services, where she helps customers unlock the data in their businesses to make powerful, intelligent decisions. So, hey, let's bring Odeta on in here.
Small Biz Spotlight.
Odeta, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You, my friend, you just became Shark Bait.
Hey, David. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Monday, right?
Yeah, happy Monday indeed. So first question right out of the gate, I ask everybody the same exact question. Who are you? What's your experience? What's your background? How did you get where you're at? Basically, in a nutshell, tell us what makes Odeta Odeta.
All right. Well, one of the things that makes me who I am is being from Albania. Okay. Most of the people in the US, when I say I'm from Albania, they're like, wait, where is that from? Albany, New York? And I'm like, no. It's Albania. Yeah. It's a very small town in Europe. It's right above Greece and, bordered by Kosovo, Montenegro, and then also Italy. And Macedonia is where I grew up, and that's where, I came from. I came from a very small family, very, very poor, actually, in a very small town called Korcha, and it's right on the mountains. So hiking and biking was they were both our main activities growing up. We used to hike 800 meters pretty much 3 times a week. And sometimes four times a week, yes. And we would
Just
bike with
fun?
Just for fun. My dad
Wow.
was one of those guys. He was big into hiking, and he always took us with us.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
So
I grew up in a mountainous region as well, too. So we would always be hiking, fishing, hunting, all that good stuff.
where? Colorado?
No, in Pennsylvania.
Where? In
Yeah.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Fun,
Coleridge,
fun.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, I have to check it out. My dad always loves to take trips here, especially Colorado, and do the hiking and all that. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
I haven't. We've been planning this trip, but I haven't gotten the chance yet to take him there. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Since they're here now.
Definitely. So, what do you do now, and exactly how did you get into what you're doing?
Yeah. So it ties very closely with where I'm from, right, and why I
Mhm.
came here. So as I told you, I came from a very small family, great parents, very, very poor growing up. But one thing that we were pushed from my dad and my mom was to get educated, right?
Right.
Get educated, make it out, and go chase the American dream, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So, funny story. Actually, it's not funny. It's kind of a sad story. My sister, she's 5.5 years older than I am. She left the country her third year of high school to come here because we had a big civil war around 1997. Okay.
Okay.
And there was a lot of kidnapping and prostitution going on. So my parents essentially had to take my sister out because she was a teenager at that point, and they had two daughters. So it was very hard to keep track of both of us,
Right.
within the town with everything else going on. So that's what she did. And then she came. She was the only one here. We had some remote family in the States that took care of her. She was pretty much in a foster family, right? They were her
Yep.
foster family, and she kind of wanted to bring the family together, and my dad wanted to get me out of there. She went and applied in many colleges in Boston for me, and
Mhm.
I got accepted in all of them. Got a scholarship at Simmons College, in Boston, right in the Fenway
Right.
Park and Riverway area,
Mhm.
and that's where I went. And I studied computer science, information technology, and business management.
Yeah.
So pretty much my dad was essentially the push, and he was, I guess, my guy, right?
Right.
He growing up, he had this many dreams, but he lived during the dictatorship. So I kind of looked up to him, and I kind of wanted to make his dreams
Mhm.
alive, right? He was taking a lot of his dreams away and opportunities. He
Mhm.
was a 4.0 med student that ended up in remote villages working his way up. And there was just always everything taken from him and his family during
Right.
dictatorship. So he never got to, fulfill his dreams. And
Where
so
is
I said,
he? Is he living in the stateside, or is he over there?
yes, he does now. No, he does. So we
Yeah.
finally, my sister and I got them here about
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Awesome.
And we finally brought the family together, and we were together finally.
That's great.
So my immediate family is here. My parents go between Boston and Texas, and then all of my extended family is still back home, and we try to go
Mhm.
back home at least once a year.
So, yeah,
So
no,
that's pretty much the story.
family is a big impact on a lot of people. I mean, you talk to people and you hear, like, on this show, everybody has very, I guess you can say, diverse backgrounds. Some of them, oh, we were poor, or hey, I had a bad family life, or hey, I had an excellent family life. And it's kind of weird because when you hear those things, it really helps people evolve to be who they are today.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what made a huge difference in my life. I remember for the first time at 19 years old at 1 a.m., I was able to walk by myself without my dad or my mom next to me from the train station to the home where I stayed at that time when I first moved in the States. And that feeling of the freedom, and I'm able to walk by myself and nothing is going to
Mhm.
happen to me. It's a huge, huge feeling. Okay. There's nothing you can compare to it. You're free. You're free
Right.
to walk. You're free to breathe the air at night. You're free to look at the stars, and free, and feel good about, yes, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be here and I'm going to do it
Mhm.
all over again. And it is so
Right.
exciting. And it's the same concept that I apply in business all the time. Like, this is an opportunity that was given to me, like a freedom that I took it, and I'm going to do everything I can with it, and most importantly, I'm going to have fun with it.
That's an
So
awesome
that's
story.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, because as I told you, during Civil War, because of a lot of kidnapping and prostitution and all that, literally girls were snatched, put in the back of the trunk, and then you're gone. We didn't see a lot of our friends a lot of times. And my mom and my dad were always there with us. They took us to school, they took us to private lessons that we had, like math.
You're talking about like there was a lot of human trafficking and stuff like that.
A lot of human trafficking. That is absolutely right. So that's the background I came from, and I said, I'm just gonna go and be free, essentially, and build the dreams. You were able
to escape it, got a better life, and then it sounds like with what you're doing, you're making the best out of the opportunity you were given.
Yes, absolutely. I'm having fun with it, right? Yeah. I got the freedom. That freedom got given to me, and I'm doing whatever I can with it, and most importantly, enjoying it. And getting it set up so that I take care of my family. And my family, my parents have fun. My parents are well taken care of. I mean, they're the reason why I'm here today, and I'm talking to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So I just, I'm setting it up so I can take care of my family and friends, help people. It's nice to be able to give back. I got so much from this country, and the freedom and everything. So for me, it's always about giving back.
Giving back, because I feel that way too. I feel everything goes full circle. And so if you're just taking and taking and taking, you might have some short-term wins where you're getting ahead. But ultimately, if you're not giving back, you're going to end up losing.
Yeah. And, what's the fun of it if you don't give back? If others don't enjoy a part of what you're enjoying and having fun with, right?
To share in your success.
Absolutely. And, helping as much as I can. I'll do anything to help people out, whatever it takes, right? Because I was that person that I needed help at some point in time. And I had a lot of people that helped me out, family, friends, all of that. And I will help.
Right. So your business right now, it's G7, right?
That is correct. G7 Tech Services.
G7 Tech Services. Why don't you explain, 30-second overview what the business does, and then I'll get into some questions like why did you start it and stuff like that.
Yep. So we are a consulting services and software sales company specializing in business intelligence and corporate performance management, and really anything that has to do with data, right? We focus mainly on the small to medium market. We have our platform that sits on top of Excel spreadsheets, ERP systems like Microsoft GP, SAP, Oracle, and we analyze the data and put it together so that we are able to tell a story to the business owners and the C-level executives. Not only that, but also specialize in predictive analytics as well, which is more of a statistical, nitty-gritty detail of that data.
So one thing you said there that caught my eye was you said that you're able to tell the story from data. How do you tell a story? When you're looking at raw data, how are you able to explain that story to maybe a non-technical business owner?
By putting it together in a format that makes sense, right? For example, a beautifully created chart that shows you the highs and the lows, right? And kind of that even pattern. So the ability to read those patterns easily, right? It doesn't matter what the measure is, but you got to present it in a way, in a format that people are able to read it easily, no matter what they're using. If it's using an Excel spreadsheet or another application or tool, whatever the case is.
Okay. So why did you end up starting the business with G7 Tech Services? What was the driver with that? Did you do it right out of college or what exactly?
So funny story, you say that. I started with a startup in the same industry, right? And I kind of grew with them. That was my first job out of college. And it was 3 of us. And then I kind of helped and built the team to, 20 people with 2 offices, one in Boston and then one in Austin. That's how we moved in Texas, actually, to open up that office and build a team here. And, during this process, I kind of figured out certain gaps and, certain principles that I, didn't agree with or I didn't like. And I said, hey, I said, I'm kind of ready to go and filling that gap right within the industry. And that's what I did. And also, I'm that kind of a person that I get easily bored. And at this point of the company, I did many, many roles. So I did sales, technical support, I did implementation. I ran that team for a long time. And I said, hey, I kind of need something new. I kind of need a new challenge. If my brain is not working every day and thinking different every day, then there's something wrong. It's stagnant. I can't do the same every single day. So
if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards.
You're going backwards. That's absolutely right. I was just going to say that. And that's
great minds think alike. But
absolutely.
So you did the sales side of things. What do you like better, sales or the implementation services side?
Implementation.
Why do you like the implementation over the sales?
It makes my brain evolve.
Does it?
Yes, there's always a new challenge every day. And I love the challenges. And I feel like I'm just growing all the time. We get a new client, a new project. The business principles are always the same, no matter the industry, but the industry is so different. So there's new problems on how they do day-to-day things or, at the C-level perspective. And that to me is fascinating, being able to know and be part of, a budgeting and planning process in a hotel versus like a restaurant, and versus, for example, MLB sports industry, right? It's fascinating. And I'm constantly learning. Sometimes it's too much because my guys in consulting, they're like, well, you need to be away, because you're coming too much into our business here. So, I love being involved. And that's something I do different, when we have customers, they're always the VPs and stuff like that. They're always like, well, why are you involved? Why are you so involved? So like, this is what I love to do. This is why I founded G7, because I care. And I like to be involved with my clients, their family, they're part of the G7 family.
Yeah, I guess if you're the owner, it kind of allows you to be involved on all sides of the equation, whether it's sales, services, support, whatever it is.
Right. Sometimes it's more of a pain in the butt though, too.
Oh, trust me.
Because I'm on the way.
That's one of the reasons why, because before when I was out in LA, I was just sales rep, LA County. And I was kicking butt and it was fun. Most sales rep, I think, would be content doing with what I was doing sales wise, income wise, all that stuff. I wanted more though, because it's like, I feel like I'm only using a third of my brain and
That's right.
I could do a lot more. And that's where I ended up now managing the Northeast for Business One and the East Coast for Sage Intact. And believe me, there's some days that it's like, oh my God, why did I take this job?
What did I get myself into?
Right. But for most of the position, most of my days, it's good because it allows me to try to find creative solutions for some of these issues that we come up with. When I sell, I'm a big believer in ethically selling, especially with tech and ERP, because a lot of sales reps, they'll go out and sell. They'll be like, oh, yeah. You'll get a free implementation. Or, hey, you know what? 80 hours. Let's see where that gets you. And it's like, no. You hash that stuff out up front. Okay. But you're never going to get every single detail because you cannot implement a full system during a sales cycle. But you try to uncover as much as you can. And then sometimes when you get into the implementation, you start doing blueprinting and you're documenting things. That's where, oh, wow, this beer manufacturer actually owns a strawberry field too. And they want it for the strawberry field. So, it's pretty cool like that because, it puts you in a position to where you have to be creative because you just can't jack the price up, you know what I mean? To where, this is going to cost you double.
Right.
You have to find a way around that the customer expects, but you also have to get the customer to take ownership a little bit too, because it's like, hey, we did 4 hours of discovery with you. We've done another 4 hours worth of demos. You not one time did you mention that you had a
Right.
strawberry field, you know?
That's out. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a lot of this processes with our salespeople, I always tell them it's a fine line, right, on how you sell
Mhm.
it, and especially with the implementation, as you
Right.
mentioned, because you can get in trouble a lot of times, right? But when that problem presents itself, I always tell people, well, you got to look at the short-term opportunity and the long-term opportunity, right?
Oh, there
With
you
this
go. See.
specific problem.
Wait.
So
You're stealing one of my phrases there. I tell everybody from my team to this podcast, hey, you got to keep one eye on now. You've got to be grounded, but then you also got to keep another eye in the future because the decisions that you make today are going to affect where you're at in the future.
that's absolutely right. And you gotta weigh those too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And sometimes you gotta, eat up the cost. And that's okay
Yep.
because in the long term, there is a bigger opportunity.
Yep.
And I'm all about long term, honest, transparent opportunities versus a quick short term in and out, type of thing, which we get
That's
those all the time, right?
That's where
But just kind of like
I position us like, hey, we're your partner for growth. This is a growth partnership because
exactly.
if we're not helping you grow your business, then quite frankly, we're failing. And they'll be like, well, why do you
Absolutely.
want us to grow? Why do you want to grow our business? Well, if you want to know the truth, it's because if I grow your business, guess what? You're going to be buying more software and more
That's
services
absolutely
from
right.
me. It's in my benefit to help you grow your business.
Absolutely right. Couldn't agree there more with you.
Good,
Absolutely
good.
right.
So what kind of software do you use for your accounting? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding.
For our accounting, well, you
uh,
know.
but when you look at it as a whole, our industry, because what you do and what I do, they're different platforms, but there's a lot of crossover. They fit different needs, but I think they're pretty much sold almost like the same way.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And you guys sit more on the ERP side, right?
Yep.
Where the data gets captured and all that. And then what we do is that we sit on top of that data and we
Hmm.
connect directly to, the ERP systems such as SAP, Business One,
Hmm.
and many other platforms out there. Either it's on the cloud or on premise. We're able to do that, get the data in, and then kind of have a look at the processes and come up with a solution where we address not only data issues but also process issues, and come
Hmm.
up with an application where the business users can use it at any levels, even if it's operations, sales, and also C-level if you're doing a kind of a top-down approach for your KPIs and goals, for the
Yeah,
overall company, or a bottoms up, as a
totally.
matter of fact. So that's where we kind of sit in. And I think you guys, again, are more on the data collecting ERP side of
Hmm.
things and the data entry, and then we sit on
Yeah,
top of it.
yeah. I mean, we do have, some, I guess you could say business intelligence, reporting, stuff like that, Krista reports, that type of stuff. But when you're going for a tier one ERP solution like SAP Business One, yeah, it's got the out of the report boxes that out of the box reports that you can tweak and stuff like that. But it's only going to get you so
That far.
far. That's where when you really want to get a deep analysis of true business analytics and stuff like that, I think that's where a solution like yours really comes into hand.
Yes, and we have many different solutions out there depending on what, if you're small to medium or an enterprise level, right? And what you're
Hmm.
trying to do, right? So a lot of companies, I'm talking about the big companies, they're okay with having 2 or 3 tools, right? One can be for
Hmm.
data analytics, one can be for the, budgeting and planning and forecasting. Then they have another one usually for predictive analytics and the
Right.
statistical team, right? So in these cases, sometimes we get a lot of clients that are unhappy about what they have, right? Because they're siloed, the systems are siloed. There
Hmm.
is multiple versions of the truth because through Excel, they also have Excel as well, right? So where we come into these big companies is we come with an all-in-one toolkit approach where, we have our product that does pretty much from budgeting and forecasting, budget planning and forecasting, to BI and data analytics, and also to predictive analytics as well, without any type of coding. And it's just a simple drag and drop. And you don't need to know Python or R in order to be able to, create a predictive model. It is all built in. It's all drag and drop. And then we got the small, to medium companies where they either don't have a tool in place, and the only tool they have is Excel, and they're growing so fast that they have outgrown that so much.
Access.
Or Microsoft Access.
I see that a lot lately.
That's absolutely right. And then, they come knock on your door and they're like, oh my God, I'm a $10, $50 million company right now, and I'm running on Excel, or $100 million and I'm running in Excel, and we're like, okay, well, we gotta talk, right? We got a problem here. I mean, how could you, even from an HR perspective, when you're doing payroll and all that. And it's fascinating to see all this, companies that are, so big, and they're still running in Excel.
Right. Isn't it crazy? Because I've seen companies $200 million a year in revenue, and they're like, yeah, we're running a custom Microsoft Access, and then we update all these spreadsheets in Excel, and that's how we manage the business. And it's like, how the heck did you become a $200 million a year company running off of Excel like that? It is insane.
Well, and my question is, do you know how much more cost effective you can be and actually, grow and add more into that growth if we come in with a system, right? And, we kind of replace certain functions and automate your process, right? Even better, where your employees are more efficient at that point, right? And a lot of people, when you show what you got, what we got, it's not like, wow, we can do that with a push of a button. I said yes, and he's like, well, we have about 5 people crunching data with this every single day, and
the way that I put it is very simple. It's like, hey, look, instead of having people do mundane tasks like fill out different spreadsheets multiple times, you don't have to eliminate them. Remember, automation does not mean that you have to eliminate jobs or employees. What you do is you repurpose them and put them on profit driving activities instead.
Efficiency. Yep. That's absolutely right. And that's what we do essentially. And, G7, actually, we kind of grew tremendously for the past, couple of years. As it has been said for a lot of companies, for us, has been a tremendous growth. And it's because of what you just said, right? And, there were a lot of budget cuts as well. And, we came in and we helped out. And then we had a lot of these people that are coming back now and into a brand new environment, more efficient, and they're happier at their day-to-day jobs. They're not crunching data all the time and validating 3 different versions of the same exact data, right?
Yep.
They come up, they see what it is, and then they keep moving on to the next,
one
goal
single
and
version of the truth.
That's absolutely right.
So how has this whole global pandemic been for your business?
It actually has been great. As I said, we saw a tremendous growth. We went from 6 people to 14. Okay. And quite a lot of customers. And, the reason why we saw this, in the beginning was a little bit kind of stagnant a little bit, right? Because people were either cutting on budgets and they're trying to figure out how it would play out, right?
I don't think that it was necessarily stagnant. What happened, this is my opinion from what I saw, is back around March, you started having state after state after state do stay-at-home orders closing down, schools closing down, and it just seems like everybody just shut down. Stock market crash. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Are we headed to a recession? And, they could only have X amount of employees working from an office or a manufacturing site. And it wasn't that they couldn't afford things. They most times still had the money.
They were very cautious.
They were very cautious. They were guarding their wallet because they didn't know what the future held.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree there more with you. You're absolutely right. And, what happened is we were kind of, for us, it was stagnant for us a little bit until people kind of, states started opening up. I mean, in Texas, we opened up quite fast, to be honest with you. And that's when people realized, oh, well, we're open up now, but we can't really go back to the office, right? So now we need the systems in place. Like we had a lot of, cloud upgrades, right, from on-premise, because we had to make it that way that people could access it from home, right? And we got better, for example, cash flow forecasting models. We got a lot of requests from that, right? And a lot of like statistical and predictive pieces of that, right? That had to do with a culture shift that happened within the companies, but also, being prepared, because we still don't know what's going to happen, right? We got this new strain now of COVID with Delta, and I don't know if you heard or not, but California put the mask back on,
back on. I've seen all that, and in fact, you remember, by the time this airs, it'll probably be like a couple months ago, but India, when it was all over the news, stuff like that.
Right.
Well, my wife, my in-laws, they're actually Peruvian. And down there, it was pretty much just as bad as it is in India. They were telling us to get a tank of oxygen. And this is just like about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It would be 3 days waiting in line, camping outside a place to get it because it's that bad. So my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, niece, they all came up here to kind of wait it out. But you got to remember, a place like Peru and Lima, they're in winter. This is flu season for
Argentina.
them.
Yes. And Argentina too. Yep.
Now, as we start getting into flu season in the US over the next 4 or 6 weeks, it could be interesting. Is that going to fall up more north with us or not? There could be a resurgence. Who knows? And I think because of that, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the market because people don't know what to expect. However, I will say one big difference is, so last year, all our projects went on hold. Like literally every single project I had, except for 1 or 2, hey, we got to put it on hold. Got to put it on hold right now. Then going into 2021, we still had COVID. We still had masks. You still had all this stuff. But guess what? Every project I had on hold, all activated. Why? Because COVID is now standard operating procedure for businesses. They knew what to expect going into this year.
Right.
And right now, I mean, it's crazy. We're in a hiring frenzy because we have so much work and not enough employees. Like we're even recruiting in South America right now, and we'll move them to the US. That's how bad we need people.
We're on the same boat. Yeah, absolutely. We're on the same boat. As you know, we have an office in Argentina as well. And, again, we have the same thing with COVID, as you mentioned, in Peru, right? And then Lima. And, again, over there, as far as project goes, they were on hold. They're still on hold, right? Because there's still so much. And, Argentina is very political and very controlling. Right. So, we kind of have those challenges internationally.
I had a contract where I had to, it was for a Korean/Japanese semiconductor company. Now, this is when I was an independent consultant with my own consulting business. And they're one of the many contracts that I held. But they're like, hey, because I'm fluent in Spanish. I got a Mexican green card. I have Peruvian papers. I have all that stuff. Okay. And they're like, we want you to get our product into Latin America. And this is a known company. I mean, they're in every single Xbox that exists. Their customers are HP. They're in every single HP printer, for example. And I kept getting a lot of people interested down there in places like Argentina, but we could not sell to Argentina because of how it's almost like a dictatorship with how strong those laws are.
Yeah, it's impossible.
They're very closed.
Yes. I mean, I'll tell you a very simple example. Like we have about, 5-6 people there, and I wanted to send them these headphones, right? And I couldn't ship it because if I did, they would have gotten charged. I think it was double the price of what we got them for, or triple. And they would have to pay that because it was something that was shipped out of this country within this country, right?
Yes.
And then
they want them to buy Argentinian products, right?
Products, right? Which I understand, but at the same time, the price markup, it's ridiculous out there. I can buy the same headphones for the same price. So when you look at some of those things, and bigger purchases, you're like, oh my Lord, this is crazy.
Like when I lived down in Mexico, so I lived in Tijuana, but I could go to Walmart and buy a pair of Levi jeans that we think of just ordinary generic jeans. I could buy them for $20 at Walmart. I take them down to Tijuana, and now this is 20 years ago, I could sell them for $80 to $100. Now it's probably way cheaper because people don't realize, like, a lot of these other foreign countries, they have very, very high tariffs on their stuff.
Yep. Yeah. It's, we're still trying to navigate those waters in Argentina. It's a little bit, my partner down there, obviously is local and all that, so he knows it better. And, his family has a toy company, so we kind of know, but we're still trying to navigate the waters there. So it's interesting.
I have a few more questions for you because we are starting to run out of time. This has been I love these conversations because it's it's an ADD convo. Like we're all over the place, but people are going to love it. They're going to want you on again. Watch and see. So
absolutely.
The sales process, you and me both talk because again, in similar industries, ERP, kind of like with what you do. How do you find that during COVID, the sales process has changed for you, selling to a client remotely and having to give them the warm and fuzzies and stuff?
It's definitely become more difficult for sure. And, it's not, we do a lot of on-site demos and proof of concepts, right? And when you talk to someone over the phone or even just the camera like this, it's different, right? Because you're not shaking your hand or you're not giving them a hug, right? Or you're not joking around and they really don't see your true personality and your background and how warm you are and all of that, right? Or the way you present as well. It's just very or the way you stand and you sit in the room and you're sharing the same room with them. It's just not, it's not different. It's not the same.
I'm sorry, you made me crack up because when you said that, I was thinking my sales rep needed me on a call for him to be like, hey, David, they need to get some warm and fuzzies from the executive side on Vision 33. Can you join the call? Yes, obviously I will. That's my job. And I'm on the call and I have my microphone here because, I do a podcast, but I use it for my everyday.
Right.
And he's like, is that a microphone? The customer's asking me, is that a microphone? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, why do you have that? I'm like, well, I also do a podcast from here too. And he's like, oh, that's creepy. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
What did I get myself into, right? Did I just kill this sale right now?
Right. But it actually went really well. And that's a thing. I mean, what I've learned is it's hard to build a relationship remotely. And we do a lot of on-site too, because we're doing on the small end, maybe it's 50 or 75,000, but a typical deal is going to be between 150, 500,000, and when you go out to do that size, they want to meet you before they cut you a check for 500,000 or $1 million.
Absolutely. I mean, they want to know who you are, like how do you communicate with them? Like how do you, stand in the room, right? How do you present? How do you understand or you don't understand their business,
especially,
right? And
especially when you're a sales rep, because when you're a sales rep, they want to see, is this guy or gal BSing me? And they want to see your body language because many sales reps in the ERP industry, for better or worse, they're, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, we could do that. Oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, by default, you're the liar in the room,
Right, exactly. And that's where, you need people like the management like me or whatever to come in to kind of make sure that the customer believes it. But one of the things that I implemented with my team was, hey, whenever you're on a call, everybody uses Teams, everybody uses Zoom now, whatever it is. Whenever you're on the call, even if the client has their camera off, you absolutely have to have your camera on because when you're answering, you want them to see your face. You want them to see how you're saying it and that you're not rolling your eyes like, we can do that.
Yeah. No.
Right?
I know.
Do you do a lot of that same stuff, Odeta?
Yes, absolutely. I think anything that will, you will show up, right?
Hmm.
And people can see you. I've totally pushed that into, our team. Absolutely. But to be honest with you, we also have a lot of customers that they don't want to,
Right.
this is more for the services side, right? If
They
you're
don't
trying to
want
upsell with them,
to what? Turn
to
the
be on a
cameras on?
camera. Yeah, they
Okay.
don't want to be on a,
But even if
on
they
camera.
don't turn it on, do you or your team turn it on?
So most of the team members do. Myself, if I know the client on a personal level, this is existing clients, right? If I know to a personal level and I know that they get bothered by that, then I'll not turn
Hmm.
it on, right? I will just make them feel comfortable, right?
Right.
Because a lot of people, we're all different, right? I don't feel comfortable being on the camera, but that doesn't mean that I, don't want to see you, right? And you don't have to be in the camera, or that might mean
Well,
that.
last time we had a
Well,
call, my camera was on and yours was off because you said you were
I
sick.
know. I know. No, well, I've had a problem with my cameras, and I'm not lying to you. And between
Okay,
my
okay.
office and here and Teams, I don't know what it is, but it always
I
gets
don't know. It's working pretty
this.
good now.
Right now, yes, because I had a new one. I ordered a new one specifically for this two
It's
weeks
on.
ago.
Oh,
So,
awesome. Thank you.
yes, and it's actually great. It's working great.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What camera did you get?
I don't remember the name. It says the depth spec. It's actually pretty
Oh,
good. It was
yeah, I don't
cheap
know that.
too.
I have the
Uh,
Logitech Brio because of the 4K, and I loved it. I've had it for about
ah,
4 or 5 years. I bought it once it came out. It's been great for me. So I do want to wrap up with one final question.
yes.
Okay, because business is personal. People, like we were talking earlier, your life and coming from where you did in Albania to now, your family, all that stuff made you evolve as a person. You just had a baby not too long ago, right?
Yes.
Okay,
My
sorry.
baby boy Odin, Odin Peter.
Odin,
He's
there you
four and a
go.
half months
Four and a
now.
half months. So,
Yes.
how has having a baby, working from home, working from the office, how has that impacted your business life? And does it inspire you more? I mean, tell us how that feels.
Yes. It has made me a better boss, a better daughter, and a better wife.
Oh, wow.
I I
Maybe
work
I need to
10
have a new
times
kid.
I work 10 times harder now, because it's about giving also opportunities to him, right? And I'm not just gonna
Yeah.
hand them off to him, but I just work harder,
Mhm.
day in and day out. And, my schedule is hectic all over the place, which that has given me a lot of patience and
Mhm.
becoming better at scheduling and managing my time
Yep.
management. And, overall, it's been exhausting, but I think there's been a lot of great things such as, patience. I'm a better boss. I understand more now for, the
Mm.
moms and the dads out there, the flexibility of not being in the office all the
Mhm.
time, giving those flexible schedules and, getting stuff done whenever you can, right? And to me, family is very important. And
Yeah.
all the people that work, with me and for me, that's the main priority, right? And as
Yep.
a mother and as a wife and as a daughter, I want to make sure that my employees feel that, and they have their time to spend with
No,
their
that's
kids. Our life is
that's
too
amazing.
short. Our
Mhm.
life is too short, and I think having this child right now has even made me realize that even more and appreciate
Yep.
it. And
Yeah.
I'm very thankful and I'm very grateful, for what I have.
Yeah.
So, and for this beautiful baby.
You just stepped into a awesome topic. This is a recurring theme that I have on this show. I've talked about it with most of the big experts we've had on, including Soledad O'Brien, with the traditional workday. In fact, I have an article that will be out on Forbes.com soon.
Ah,
That's going to be on modernizing the workday, because I think for most working professionals, now look, if you work at McDonald's, yes, you have to
You
actually
have
go
to
to
be there.
McDonald's.
Yes.
Right. You're right. You're not going to just make it at the microphone in your own kitchen, in the microwave in your
Right.
own kitchen and send it to somebody. But for most working professionals like you, me, people that listen to this podcast, the 9 to 5 workday is outdated. I think if
Yeah.
there's one good thing COVID has brought us, it has proven to all these business owners, all these executives, all these CEOs of major companies that guess what? People don't have to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day straight to be productive. They can go out.
100% agreed.
They, like I tell my team, I don't care if you work from the beach, Disneyland, whatever. I care about deliverables. You have to do what you, there are some things you can only do between 9 and 5. Okay.
Right.
I
Right.
expect those items to be done. Outside of that, if you're working at 8 o'clock at night because it doesn't matter, I don't care.
Good.
Have that work-life flexibility. Do you think that is the future?
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely 100%. I mean, we got a new office on June and, I said flexible hours, Monday through Friday. I'd like to be in the office if we can, right? But if we can, then that's okay, right? But as long as your stuff gets done, and to your point, there's certain meetings that I need you to be on, and those certain meetings are within the 9 to 5, right? And I need you there in order for you to get your job done. And I don't care when you get the rest of the things done. That's up to you,
Yep.
And the other thing too is I have unlimited vacation policy. So
Oh my God, where do I submit my application?
7.
I'm kidding.
No, but and the understanding behind that is that you can take as much time off as you need to, as long as stuff gets done, right? And as long as you're present on those meetings, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's up to you how you manage the time, as long as the tasks get done, and that's it.
I think once you get to a certain level of experience, even with younger people, like I was reading an article, maybe it was Forbes Harvard Business Review, and I actually tweeted them. Well, I was going to tweet the author, but Figures didn't have an account. So I still tweeted HBR because they're like, oh, people will lose out if they're working from home or not in the office. And it's like, hey, if that's a type of environment this place is, to me, that sounds toxic. I wouldn't want to be a part of that. Okay. Everybody should be judged upon the work that they do. And when you're hiring somebody at the level that you or I would hire somebody, you expect it to be done. You don't need to babysit them.
That's right.
If you do, then they're probably not right for the
there's
position.
something wrong. There's something wrong. You're absolutely right.
That doesn't mean that, maybe something happens here or there to where you've got to help someone along in a hard time. But outside of those rare moments, it should just be done. I think that's the biggest thing we could take away. Hey,
I couldn't agree more.
This has been amazing. Have you had fun?
Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's very nice talking to you.
Shark bait. You just became shark bait and survived. So,
ooh, great. I cannot wait for the next one.
Yeah, there you go. How can people reach out to you?
You can reach out on LinkedIn, Odeta Pine, or www.g7techservices.com, or give me a shout. I love to talk to people. It's 512-820-3799. Give me a shout.
And we'll make sure that we have a link down there for G7 Tech Services. Odeta, thank you so much for coming on. This has been amazing.
Thank you, David, for having me. Bye.
No problem. Cheers. Bye.
Wow, such an awesome chat with Odeta, right? First, y'all know the routine. If you found this interview helpful, if it sparked those warm and fuzzies, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. But if you really want to help us out, please share it out to your network. Get it out on LinkedIn. Get it out on Twitter. Get it out on Facebook. Shark Bite Biz is the best kept secret out there in the business world. I'd love to see nothing more than G7 Tech Services and Shark Bite Biz out there trending. Now let's get back to our superstar guest, Odetta. We say this often, but the route you take to get where you're at is often just as important as where you are. None of us woke up just one day and was like, bam, I'm gonna be an executive at Google. Or in my case, I'm gonna be a super famous podcaster and YouTuber, right? I'm just kidding. I wish I was. One day, maybe, with your help, we'll get there. But anyways, there are twists and turns all along the path of life. If you listen to the origin story, as I call it, of Odetta, you'll hear the same thing. An immigrant escaping a very bad situation from her native country. Her parents had to send her older sister first to the U.S., and then finally it was her time to leave Albania. When she came here, all she knew was that anything was possible. It's the land of opportunity. And I think that's important from just a social aspect right now, because we have so many people that really aren't so happy with the current state of affairs here in the U.S. But yes, we have problems as a society. Every society does. But business-wise, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, this is the easiest place in the world to be able to achieve your dreams. And that's something I don't think many people could deny. Odetta's story is so personal, but also it's just really amazing. I mean, now she's reunited with her whole family, and she's working on something that she's really passionate about: data and helping small businesses grow. It's interesting how her view on work-life balance has essentially evolved now that she's become a mother as well. Sometimes I think people forget what it's like, not to have kids, especially because we're in a cultural situation right now in the United States where so many adults are waiting to get married later in life. They're waiting to get kids later in life, and that's fine. You want to do your business, you want to have fun early on. I get it. I had a lot of space between my first kid and my second kid for those various reasons, but having compassion, especially when we're in a pandemic, when many of them have to study from home and life is much more difficult, for somebody like Odetta, it became so much easier to understand that stuff because of the fact that now she has a kid and she's going through those same exact thing. I really think Odetta and me are both in line as far as the 9-to-5 workday, the traditional workday, stuff like that. It's becoming a more deliverable centric type of life, I think, for people. Once you get to a certain level, if you're working at a fryer at Burger King, sorry, you're going to have set hours. But once you get to be a working professional doing the things that we do, it's going to be much more of a deliverable centered life. And I think that's important because I really see that's how the work day is evolving as we go forward. Overall, I mean, this was an amazing story. Odetta has created an amazing business. And truth be told, I think she's just starting out. I think she hasn't even reached her full potential yet. Her story isn't even half written, and I'm more than super confident that as time goes on, her company, her dreams, they're going to be bigger, they're going to be better, and, she is just starting to scratch the surface of what her full potential is. So I just want to give a personal thank you out there to Odetta for coming on, sharing her story to this audience. And really, I hope you all love it. Question of the day. What is the biggest hurdle for you to start your own business right now? Leave a comment down below on YouTube. Remember, if you want to be on the show, really simple. Interviews at sharkbitebiz.com. Please don't forget, join the channel. $3 a month. You can become a baby shark, or head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. Use code SHARK. Get 20% off your order. And again, all the proceeds from Dead House Coffee actually come right here to this this show. We own Dead House Coffee. It helps us produce what we're producing, and as you can tell, each show it keeps getting bigger and better because of all the purchases that you all do for us. So once again, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you all next episode. Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.